Hola, ¿cómo está, mis amigos? And I'm afraid that's all the Spanish I know. But anyway, I apologize for that. Hello, my name is Robert Kiyosaki. I'm probably best known for the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Padre Rico, Padre Pobre. And I'm very excited about coming back to your beautiful country, Spain. It'll be the second time I'm going to be there. So I'll be doing a talk on these dates here. So if you can make it to my talks, please come. I'll be there with some of my advisors. It's a very important talk simply because of what's going on in the world economy today. So for those who do not know about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, let me explain a little bit about the book. Padre Rico, Padre Pobre, about my two fathers. My poor dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii, Stanford graduate, University of Chicago, Northwestern, and the University of Hawaii. Very smart man. And my Padre Rico was a man who didn't go to school. So the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a story of two different types of people. One an employee, a government employee, that's Poor Dad, and the other one an entrepreneur who was my rich dad who never finished school. So the reason Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written is because I could see this financial crisis coming today. So let me give a little bit of history right here. I am very concerned about you, your family, and the world economy. Because as you know, the rich are getting mucho rich. And the middle class is getting smaller, and the poor are getting poorer. You know, when I was a child back in the 60s and the 50s, we all worried about poor people. But today we worry about the middle class. And for those of you in Spain know, much of the middle class, many of the educated, hard-working, good people got wiped out after 2008 during the banking crash. I'm afraid there's a bigger crisis coming. So that's why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So if I could tell you the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad just quickly, you can take a look at this chart right here. This is, I think, a 100-something year chart of the Dow going back to 1895. As you can see, the chart goes flat, flat, flat for a long period of time. Then suddenly it starts to rise. And the question is, it started to rise around 1971. And the question is, what happened in 1971? In 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And when he did that, that allowed the ultra-rich to print as much money as they wanted. And as you know today, the Spanish economy, the Greek economy, Cyprus, but more important, Italy, is in serious financial trouble because their banks are in trouble. And so I know we have immigration challenges and all of these things going on. But ladies and gentlemen, especially in Spain, you have a banking crisis. We have a global banking crisis. So look at this chart again. In 1997 was when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In 1997, I could see what was coming. So when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I said, the rich don't work for money. Savers are losers. Your house is not an asset. And I said that in 1997, so everybody said, book is terrible. Rich Dad, Poor Dad doesn't know what it's talking about. Then look what happened the year 2000. You see, in the year 2000, that was called the dot-com crash, and it crashed. The next crash came around 2005, 2007. That was the real estate crash. And that's when all the people who were over-leveraged in real estate lost everything. That's why in 1997, I said your house is not an asset. So then in 2008, the global banking crisis started. And that's when countries like Greece, Spain, Italy are now in serious financial trouble, and you're in trouble too. So I saw all this coming again in 1997. It came up to 2000, and all my predictions were coming true. The market started to crash. Now you look at this here. Here we are in 2017. The Dow's, this chart is now at an all-time high, over 20,000. I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, when that baby comes down, we're going into possibly probably a 40% chance of the biggest crash in world history. That's what I'm concerned about. So when I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad again in 1997, everything was great. It was just like, 1997, the stock market was high, everybody had jobs. Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan said, be careful, people are getting too excited. Well, we're doing the same thing today, ladies and gentlemen. So the reason I want you to come to see me in Spain, me and my advisors, is we're going to talk to you about what you can do here. You see, if I'm right, and I hope I'm wrong, and this baby comes down, the rich will get richer, but unfortunately many of you who have good educations, hardworking people, may lose everything, especially young people. I know the unemployment rate is very high in Spain, but that's why at Rich Dad we always talk about need to be entrepreneurs today. So when you come to listen to me in Spain, I'll be talking about entrepreneurs. All of my friends are entrepreneurs. We hire people. We don't look for jobs. We are employers. We are not employees. So if you want to come and hear something different than what they're telling you in school, come to this event and you will learn why the rich are getting richer and how you can too, even if the market crashes. Because it's all about financial education. That's why I'm asking you to come to the event in Spain with myself, my advisors. We're all entrepreneurs. We will tell you things you will never hear in school. We will tell you things that your school teachers don't even know about. We will tell you about, for example, why the rich use debt to get rich. And everybody's telling you to get out of debt. We'll tell you how the rich don't pay taxes legally in your country and my country. Like if I was in your country, I still wouldn't pay any tax. Like I don't pay tax here. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're coming for some real financial education, come see us in Spain. It'll be a day well worth your time. It'll change the way you look at money, your life, and your future. So I look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much.